You ready? Ready? I call the meeting to order of the Planning Commission, regular scheduled meeting for February 27, 2020. Will you take the roll call, please?
Commissioner Flicker?
Here.
Commissioner Britton?
Here.
Commissioner Chapman?
Here.
Commissioner Jenkins?
Here.
Commissioner Sears?
Here.
Commissioner Durling?
Here. If you wish to speak. Oh, that's right. Oh, my brain isn't here. We'll all rise and have a pledge of allegiance, please. Salute. Begin.
Liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Now, if you wish to speak, it'd be helpful if you'd fill out a blue card over here and give it to the clerk. Okay.
I'm sorry, if you just turned in some blue slips, I need to know what number they were for. No, we're good.
In here. Here's our number.
No, this is February 27 here. This is the one they're going to adopt.
Oh, they were out of order on mine too.
Oh, that's right. I just took it off.
Okay.
Okay. Welcome to the Planning Commission. If you wish to make a presentation or comments, time limit is 3 minutes. And if you're here to speak on something that's not on the agenda, you have the 3 minutes, but a total of 15 minutes. This is now the opportunity if anyone wants to speak or address the Planning Commission on an item not on the agenda. Now's the time to do it.
Mr. Chairperson, I do not have any blue speaker cards for non-agenda items.
I couldn't hear you.
I do not have any speaker cards for non-agenda items
Okay.
at this time.
Good, thank you. If the I'd like to see if there's a consensus on the commissioners to move agenda item 3 up to the beginning. That's the Planning Commission selection for chairperson and vice chairperson. Is that okay? Is that all right? Okay. I'll take nominations for chairperson of the Planning Commission. Anybody want to make anybody?
I'll nominate Carl Durling.
Okay, Carl Durling's been moved and seconded to be chair,
For chair.
the chair of the Planning Commission. Do we take a vote on this, or
You can speak out.
do we?
I nominate Randy Chapman. I nominate Randy Chapman.
I thank you on that. With my schedule right now with some family stuff, I would politely, decline, but thank you for that. I appreciate
I
the
told you I was
nomination.
going to say it.
How about vice chair? I would consider vice chair, or I think Tammy would be a good vice chair too.
Actually,
Or Wyatt, would
You
you,
made a comment on it too.
would you be considered vice chair?
Want to vote on the first?
Okay, let's vote on the first one.
Do we vote
I mean, we could vote on both, I
Yeah,
think.
let's vote,
I guess there's. only
Motion
one-
carries.
one
anybody wants
nomination.
to change their vote? Okay, we'll take nominations for vice chair.
I nominate Wyatt.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a
Good with that?
nomination and a second.
I don't, I mean, if I'm good.
Okay,
Any other discussion? Yeah.
you want to take a vote?
Yes.
Okay,
Motion carries.
Congratulations, Vice Chair and Chair.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, I think.
yeah, congratulations.
Does he
I
want
think.
it?
Okay.
Okay, we're going to the public hearings.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me, one of the items on this agenda item had to do with the terms of office. Is this an indefinite term? Is it for 1 year, or would you like to decide that at another time?
Terms of office as for chair and vice chair?
Yeah, our last chairman was. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, I was vice chair for 2 years.
the previous chair was the chairman for 17 years, I
Right.
think, so.
I think we voted on it every year, every other year typically, though. I mean, we'd revisit it, and that's when how long, you've been vice chair for a couple of years?
4 years,
4
I
years?
think, 3 years, something like
I
that.
think,
I was voted in and then sustained again, I think 2 years later.
and terms are coming up real soon. I think my term's coming up in June, maybe. I think I've been here,
3 of you, your terms expire in June of this year, yeah.
we've been here over 10 years. But yeah, I would say if we want a term, I would be good with, we either revisit in a year or 2 years, whatever the commission's good with. What do you feel about that? The term?
2 years?
Every 2 years sounds good.
Yeah,
It's a motion for 2 years, a second?
I move for 2 years.
Second?
Second.
Let's take a vote.
Motion
Looks like
carries.
Looks like it's 2 years.
Okay.
All right. Ready to go with public hearings? I'll open the public hearing. It's item 2 on the agenda.
Do you want to approve the minutes?
Huh?
Do you want to approve the last?
Thank you. I'm not here. I'll take a motion for approval or comment on the minutes for January 23rd.
I move approval.
I'll second.
I have a motion to approve in a second. We'll vote.
Motion carries.
Now, partway through this, I may have to leave. And I'm not sure who wants to sit in my place.
It'd be your vice chair.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Because I'm not feeling too hot. I'd like to stay through the sign ordinance, but I don't think I'm gonna make it.
Yeah,
So,
that took months.
I don't think I'm going to make it either, and I feel fine.
okay, I've opened the public hearing for item 2, minor use permit, UP 2001, for a new gas station and convenience store at 350 Ora Dam Boulevard. Staff?
Commissioners, thank you. On February 4th, an application was filed for a Maverick convenience store and gas station at 350 Oro Dam Boulevard, which is our last developable freeway corner there on Oro Dam Boulevard. The project includes demolition of the existing buildings, the former garden store that was there, construction of a 6,000 square foot convenience store with 10 gas pumps and 4 high flow pumps for trucks. The applicant's proposal to sell beer and wine has triggered a use permit. Otherwise, the project would be permitted by right in the C2 zone that it is in. The application packet before you is some 250 pages and includes a site plan, building elevations, floor plan, signage, preliminary landscaping and lighting design, and also includes a geotechnical report, a traffic study, and an arborist report. Please note that the resolution, which contains the proposed project conditions, was not in the original packet, but was provided to the commissioners via separate email, and there are also copies provided here for the public. The proposed site plan, I'll go into a couple of our key issues here, does not allow left turns off of Oro Dam into the site. Trucks and cars must turn left onto Feather River and then left into the site, or alternatively exit the freeway at Montgomery and make right turns into the site on Feather River. Traffic concerns are, however, a factor, and because of the, not congestion, but the traffic volumes at this intersection, we've asked the applicant to widen Feather River Boulevard so that trucks stacked there can be bypassed. And the widening is at the vacant lot that's in between the Arco station and the fire hydrant that's at the other side. And we're not asking for curb and gutter at this time. Curb and gutter would be the responsibility of whoever develops the vacant lot that fronts that. What we're asking for is for them to widen the pavement so that vehicles can bypass in case trucks get stacked up there. Those are conditions, proposed conditions 17 and 18. Regarding signage, and there's a photo up there of our proposed location of widening that's up there in front of the planning commissioners. The signage, which starts on page 249 of the packet, excluding the proposed freestanding sign, the total signage is 281 square feet, less than the 330 square feet allowed for the building size. For the freestanding sign, applicant is proposing a 100-foot tall sign with 793 square feet of messaging, including 571 square feet of panels visible from Highway 70 and 222 square feet visible from Oro Dam Boulevard. It includes the Maverick message sign, a variable message panel with pricing and other messages, a panel for a future tenant on the adjacent lot. This sign this large would be a first in Oroville, but quite typical for your average freeway-oriented truck stop. Staff has no particular concerns about the height of the sign. There are several reasons to consider approval and several to consider limiting it to the 85 feet that exists currently for the McDonald's sign and the Feather River Crossing sign. This is the last vacant corner at that intersection. It's already our most heavily commercialized interchange. The area already has 80 and 85-foot signs. The applicant has shown in the photographs and the test similar to the balloon test that even at 100 feet, it's not overwhelmingly large. Visible from the freeway, there's a lot of vegetation along the freeway that occludes the other signs that are there already. This sign will encourage getting off the freeway and thus has the potential to attract businesses to other nearby establishments. And as I mentioned, this sign is more typical of a traditional truck stop. Maverick does put up smaller signs at most of its 300-plus business establishments, especially if they're not at freeway interchanges. We also note that if this 100-foot sign is approved, the potential exists for other businesses in the area to request higher signs as well. Perhaps the Walmart or the McDonald's or any of the other businesses around there. We had a Development Review Committee meeting February 13th with all the city departments and 2 planning commissioners. Commissioners Durling and Sears were there. Attendees had no other concerns other than the ones that I've mentioned already. Representatives from Maverick are here today, including Rick Magnus, who has a presentation that he'd like to make.
Is there any questions by the commissioners of the staff at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said McDonald's is 85 feet,
Yes.
and then
I looked
the
that up, yeah.
one in front of Ross, the big one, how much, is that 85 as well?
That is either 80 or 85 feet. I don't know which exactly.
Okay.
And they're proposing 100, is that right?
They're proposing 100. They also, in their plans, have shown an alternative sign that's 80 feet high as well.
Now, does it take a separate variance application in order to get above 60?
The planning commission has the discretion
Okay, that's-
to
that's one
approve
down on the
whatever
record.
you want to. Yeah.
I believe our ordinance currently says 65 feet is the maximum height limit until we revise.
That was revised to 85.
No, we've given 3 variances. We give a variance for McDonald's, we give a variance for the Ross.
And that was part of the discussion in the sign ordinance when the 3 of us were there.
Yeah, but we haven't approved the new sign ordinance
Didn't get
yet.
approved.
Because it
So-
was a quarter mile, 85 feet.
Okay,
That's
why don't we just get into that when we get
Freeway
it
corridor,
back to us after the,
well, I think it impacts this because it either needs a variance. I mean, I don't know if we're gonna approve the new ordinance tonight, the sign ordinance, but it would need a variance, I believe. I mean,
I don't know. I'm looking at the staff. That's-
This is 100.
That's 100 feet, yeah.
This is 80.
and I'd like to double check. I think it was 65 feet and we allowed McDonald's to take it to 85 feet. That was the first
I'll
variance.
Double check whether the code requires a variance or not. I'll let you know as soon as I
Okay.
find that.
Any other questions of staff? Okay, open the public hearing. Let's hear from the applicant.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here, and my name is Rick Magnus with Maverick, and we're located in Salt Lake City, Utah. Maverick is a solely owned company by a family. We've got about 360 stores in about 10 different states. These aren't franchised, and we're getting ready to enter the California market, and this would actually be the first approved Maverick in we're actually got about 13 sites we're looking at from Sacramento on up. So just so you know, we're getting excited to be here, and this would be the first one here. I also want to just commend your staff. They are incredible. They've helped through this whole process, and they are some fine people, and they've really helped out. So with that said, I just wanted to kind of set this up just a little bit for you. This is a great corner, and Oroville is a great community, and as we build these stores, we find out that they really become the neighborhood store. And so what we try to do is make sure that it kind of evokes everything that we have. So on this presentation, my understanding is we're going for a use permit for the alcohol sales. I will mention that we concur with all the staff recommendations. I noticed that it's for a type number 20, beer and wine, to not be consumed on site. It's carry only, and that's what that's our intent. of having that particular license in place. It is for a Maverick gas station and convenience store. It's proposed to be open 24/7, 24 hours, 7 days a week. And then, of course, the conversation about the freestanding height of 100 feet. I would like to just review those last two things a little bit, give you a little bit of background on Maverick as we kind of go through this, but really it is to just also, at the end of this presentation, answer any questions that you may have. So if we can, I know you know the location. I know that that site's been vacant for a little bit or trying to keep it going, but we actually took possession of the property. It finally was sold to us this last week, and so we now are the owners of that property. We are committed to this corner. So I just wanted you to kind of understand that as we go along. It's something that we're really looking forward to. A couple of the project details, and I know Wes has enumerated a few things. We're at approximately 6,000 square foot store. Our typical is within about 5,500 square feet, but when we find a property similar to this, we actually increase a few more bathroom stalls, if you will, so that that's something we really pride ourselves on is the bathrooms. They are clean, they're clean, and they're clean, and they're well lit. And this is something that's really important. And in the industry, clean bathrooms are very important within that. The conversation of having 10 fueling dispensers in the front court, and I can outline that a little bit for you. And then we have a commercial fuel dispenser. And when we anticipate is to have the heavier trucks enter off of Feather River, go along the back side of our property, and then they'll come back down and make that right and go right back out onto the freeway. So as Wes kind of pointed out, the access on Oroville Dam Boulevard is going to be a right-in, right-out only. Caltrans has made that very clear for us, and our plans reflect that. On Feather River Boulevard, we're going to look for a full access there. And then as shared access, we'll be sharing our access points to the remainder parcel to the west that we own, that's tucked in right next to the freeway on-ramp. So we'll have that shared access, and then we're also providing some shared access for properties to the north that haven't been, that'll still be in developed later on, because we want to make sure there's good continuity and flow as we go there in that area. I just kind of outlined a few things. In the gray is basically our area, and then to your left is the parcel 2. So parcel 1 is what we plan on developing. When I say dispensers in the forecourt, those are kind of the typical common ones that are out front of the store itself. We anticipate some good truck flow and just regular people also fueling here. And the nice thing about this is that we are being required at the time of installation of our project to continue all of the kind of Caltrans improvements along the whole entire frontage of Oroville Dam Boulevard. So it won't just stop at our parcel, but it will continue all the way west to complete that connection. And that's a meandering trail right now. We're just working, we would work with staff to make sure that that reflects exactly what you would like for a pedestrian connection there. This is kind of our new stores that we're going to be rolling out, and I know that I provided floor plan elevations. We had a good conversation at the DRC meeting as well. We just don't, this is the new prototype of ours. If you look, we have clear glass and a lot of windows out in front of our store, and then we also have a side entrance. So people might not want to go get gas, but they want to just go and fuel up, just go grab their favorite drink or breakfast burrito, and other food selections within the store. I wanted to show this one because we provided the elevation on top. It's a rendering from our architect. The store down below is the actual store that now has been constructed. This happens to be in Albuquerque. I'm sorry they beat you to the first prototype that we're now doing, but I just wanted to show how close the representation of what we've provided to you and what will be constructed, it's very similar. We are Adventure's first stop. We love that conversation. And so what I'm showing in here, this is the interior of our convenience store. It is full of murals that will be regional in the aspect of Oroville and that. We actually go and they'll take photography and they'll put those murals inside. The roof, the ceiling height is much higher than a regular store of this type. Wide aisles. And in the store, you'll have opportunities to buy a lot of fresh food that's made. We have a little grill in the back that's called Bonfire Grill, and they prepare street tacos, burritos, nachos, salads, sandwiches. This is a constant and important thing for us to have fresh food opportunities as well as packaged things that people are so used to. And we actually find that you'll find that when we prepare food and it's put out on the shelf, not only does it have a date stamp, but it has a time stamp. So even on that date, if the time stamp has expired, it's pulled. It doesn't sit there for the whole entire day if by chance that was prepared in the morning. That's just an example of our canopy. It's pretty straightforward. It has a little bit of signage, a little bit of logo, and I'm happy to answer any questions about that. Here's our landscape plan also. Something I wanted to also point up at the north side of our property, just behind our store, you'll see some line work done, which actually indicates a scale for commercial trucks. And what they do is they'll pull up on there, they'll weigh themselves, then they'll come down and they know how much fuel they can put in their car for the weight that they're allowed to get out onto the interstate. So it's strategically located. It provides, it's shielded from definitely Feather River and also Oroville Dam Boulevard. And so what I just wanted to show was we had this landscape plan kind of showed it the best of kind of how this lays out. We still are mindful that we'll have to meet the code for shade and that, and so we'll continue to work with staff so that we're able to achieve that. This is just an example of a typical sign plan. It's showing that not only are we looking for the big boy that we get to talk about tonight, okay, but also we're looking to do some monument a monument sign over there on Feather River side, and then of course the different signage that we have on our building and our canopies. That's just kind of what's been submitted. So if we can, let's talk about the 100-foot sign and why we feel like 100 feet is required for us to properly identify ourselves and safely identify ourselves as opposed to an 80-foot, which we looked at an 80-footer to see if that would work. A 65 by no means is going to be effective at all. There's too much foliage. We have the overpass is at like 16 feet above grade, so immediately you've lost 16 feet of sign frontage or square footage because of just the difference in elevation that goes, and then the finished elevation of the store itself. So this is an example of what that sign would look. The larger face that you're looking at, that would be if you're going up and down the interstate, the freeway. And then the one to the left that looks a little skinnier and it's got the smaller one, that's what you'll see when you're on Oroville Dam Boulevard driving east or west. And I'll explain why we have had to have these signs in this specific location on 100 feet. So there's an example of what would be on Feather River Road. That's a monument sign and where that's located. So those kinds of things are good. It has a price changer on it, and then it advertises Maverick and also our fresh food option. This is what I wanted to kind of demonstrate, and I know you've got a handout on this as well. We took a photo survey, and when you take a photo survey of a sign, I don't know if any of you noticed the day we were out there, we lifted a crane. It has a big panel of plywood on there, and we lift it. And we lifted it at 80 feet, and then we lifted it at 100 feet. And I know this is a bit hard to see, and hopefully you can see it on your example, but what's happening is if I'm coming from the north headed south, the 80-foot, and so here, let me explain what we do also in a sign survey when we're driving. Because of the speeds of the interstate, it requires a longer decision time to be made by the driver. He needs more time, but if he can't see the visibility of the sign in enough time, he then makes sometimes unsafe movements to exit and get off of this. So we've taken these pictures where someone would need to see it to still make a good, safe transition and exit. So that's why we show it at this distance. I hope you can see on your handout what 80 feet looks like. 80 feet is it's blocked by the foliage along the freeway, and the 100-foot is not. And that's an important. Once again, we're at the safe distance for someone to exit. This is northbound traffic, and as you can see, and so I asked this question of my sign guy. I said, "Hey, Yesco, why do you have the two signs together? Why don't I just slide one over to where the 100-foot is?" And he tells me that he just has them side by side, but they're determined by the same location. We just have to show them side by side. So if you're looking at this and going, "Well, just slide over where the 100-foot is," well, it's actually in the location that either of those signs would be. I'm having difficulty even on this sign. You can see where you have an opportunity to make a decision well before having to make a move unsafe. And also, this distance is increased for those kinds of commercial vehicles. They have to make a decision a little bit quicker, a little bit further down the road, because once again, this is about safety as well as it is identification of a location. This is actually heading east on Oroville Dam Boulevard. Do you see that red square is at 50 feet? If I go with an 80-foot sign and drop that side signage, it is blocked by the overpass and serves no purpose unless you're already underneath that overpass. And so, once again, the physical impediments of what was going on in the area caused us to go out physically, look at the signage, and determine that this was the minimum. It almost looks like it's sitting on top of the overpass, and that's because we took it to just the minimum that we needed. We're not trying to, increase with a greater choice. And then here's something else I want to mention to you, and I've had a great conversation and communicated with the billboard sign guy, Jeff. He's here tonight. We are also proposing that our sign be located where it is, and then remove the billboard from parcel 1 that we're on, remove it, and eliminate the visual clutter of what's going on there. The reason why, so Maverick, I mentioned, owns about 360 stores now. We don't have a billboard on any of our properties. We're just not good at it. We don't have car washes either, so that's another thing. But if you can see this, what we wanted to do is convert the impact of a sign and the visibility going through that intersection and minimize it based on the style of signage that we now propose. The 50-foot, what I wanted to demonstrate there is the 50-foot call-out is, that's generally the height of that billboard. And so we're not asking for an increase, we're still at 50 feet, but you can see the reduction of square footage on that. That is just a great opportunity to lessen the impact of a sign. Okay, there, we talked about the sign, didn't we? What I want to do is just, once again, mention to staff, I appreciate staff working with us. We concur with all of staff recommendations, and I am here to now answer any questions or address any comments that you may have.
Commissioners have any questions of the applicant?
Got people on check.
We didn't discuss this at the We didn't discuss at the Development Review Committee, I'm sorry. Are you, perhaps in the future, planning to have a charging station
A charging station?
for electric vehicles?
So what we try to do is, if it is required in the state of California, where we do, I'm here, so, hi. So what we do is, we have enough parking stalls that if it had to be retroed in for whatever's required of us, we would do that. We have a few sites designated in California where we will be doing some of the EV stations. Just to let you know kind of a little bit about what they do, they're not the best for a convenience store because it takes 30 minutes plus to really get a good charge out of that on an automobile. I know at some point they may really bring that down, but usually our typical customer isn't hanging out for 30 minutes at a convenience store. So it makes it a feature that won't be used that much, because we've done this now a little bit. And by the way, every station that you have, you also need to get a battery backup for it, because you're wanting to draw the energy in off-peak hours. If you draw it on peak hours, it really gets non-sustainable, if you will. But in this particular case for us, we haven't chosen to do it here because we're starting to learn that our typical customer is in for 7 minutes and they're gone.
I just brought that up because I think we may be heading in that direction in the future. And just for all of us here, any new fueling station may eventually be required to have a charging station. So all I'm really asking you is if there's a place to put one later if you're required to.
There is. You'd actually have to bring in because it requires a little transformer, that kind of thing. But we have an area where we could do that if we had to. Thank you.
On parcel 2,
Yes.
you said you were gonna develop that at a later date?
It will probably be, it'll actually be for sale, and we've had a few people interested in it, but we haven't done anything. When we have remainder parcels, we usually just have it available for, purchase from another user. And so what I was mentioning was, we'll actually provide easements for, for cross-access. So they're still gonna they'll still access either off of Feather River or Oroville Dam Boulevard.
So what I was getting at is, you're not gonna develop that for truck parking?
No. We do not allow truck parking. We never have. They come, they fuel, and they go. We don't do that. So,
Okay.
just so you know, because
that's what-
it sure looks like that we
Well,
would
that's
maybe.
where I was
No.
going with that.
We actually would police them and move them right along.
Okay.
It looks like enticing. It looks inviting to do that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, no, we don't. We're not good at that either.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Maybe this is to staff, but I thought, is that two existing parcels now, or is that one?
It was sold to us as one. We have an application in to make it two. And I'm, look back at my engineer here. So we will be creating a remainder parcel in this.
You'll have a separate application coming in to parcelize it
Yes,
into two parcels?
yes.
Right, okay.
It was sold to us
Yes,
as one. so-
I'll answer that. They have done a lot line adjustment, which is in the application packet.
That's right.
And they have also concurrently with this application applied for a tentative parcel map to record the change, and that will come to you. We're working on it now. It hopefully will come to you in the March regular meeting for approval.
So the lot line adjustment's being done as part of the use permit?
It's a separate use permit. The tentative parcel map is a separate permit application. The lot line adjustment that's in the packet
Okay,
here
the lot line
is,
adjustment, I meant.
it's already completed,
You have to
and it's there for
forgive me,
information.
I'm drugged out here.
It's already completed and it's there for information, so.
But it's, the lot line adjustment is part of this application?
It's as part of a separate application that will come to you in March.
Okay, so the parcel map and the lot line adjustment will be done together as a
Yes.
separate application?
And I think in your packet, it was just provided for information only.
So the project site plan is based on the lot line adjustment?
Yes.
And so you wouldn't be able to actually develop until the lot line adjustment is complete?
Correct, and we had submitted at the same time, but once again, because of the technicality of that application, it's just being extended to March. So if we end up being conditioned that, based on your lot line adjustment and tentative map approval, we're gonna have to do that anyway. We have to rely on that decision.
So you wouldn't start construction until after that period of time, right?
Oh, no, yeah, we have to create a legal parcel before we can, go out and turn dirt or.
Oh, you can start construction on the whole parcel and then parcelize it. I'm more concerned about the lot line adjustments, which are integral to the design of the project.
Yeah. Please come up. This is our engineer, and he speaks engineerese, okay?
Try not to. Mike Michaels with Cartwright Engineering, the civil engineers on the project. I think the confusion was when the previous owner, the parcel that we see now in all the exhibits was created by a lot line adjustment by the previous owner. That has been completed.
Oh, okay.
And that's what they have bought. So the lot line adjustment has already been done. Our application now is to take that and split it into two pieces, which will be
Okay,
the.
so there is no lot line adjustment?
No, that's already been done, it's been completed.
Okay,
And what we wanted to do was include that in the application, so if there was any question how 3 parcels became one,
Okay,
that, for clarity. Okay.
all right.
Thanks,
You're
Mike.
welcome.
You want to stay? No, don't stay.
Here we have Commissioner Flicker.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the driveway off of Oro Dam Boulevard going in. So that's the only driveway that's gonna, you said, well, first off, that would be my thought, is going to parcel 2. That's how you're gonna get in. But then you made a comment, you could also come off of Feather River Boulevard to get into there. Where's
Yeah,
that at?
So what we're going to do is
Go all the way across the back?
all the way across the back, and then we'll provide a cross-access easement right there, so that any tenant that's in that parcel 2, they'll have the flexibility of having access up there on the north end, heading west, or having off of Oro Dam Boulevard, a ride in, ride out, and it'll access in the front of that parcel. So on the south side of the parcel and north side of the parcel, there will be an access easement, and they'll drive through our property to get to their parcels.
Okay, so you come off of Feather River, you pull onto that weigh station.
Don't have to, there's.
Well,
a-
I'm not, so there's a
okay,
big truck. Now he's pulled up into that
Okay,
scale,
yeah.
and those people that are leaving are gonna be going right through that area as well, going out that way?
Yeah, not on the scale. You see that
Well,
there's plenty
obviously.
of room. Yeah, there's plenty of room behind
Okay.
there to have, you know,
Okay.
cross-directional traffic.
So
Did that help?
Yeah, it did. Well,
okay.
you just said, I didn't know if it meant like on the backside, or.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was just kinda concerned.
Thank you.
Cause that's a small opening on Oro Dam to have to do both, if they were coming out that way as well.
Right, it's, what we've done is we've designed that driveway width. Are you talking about the driveway
Uh-huh.
width itself? That's designed, that's a Caltrans design for right in, right out. And it's a commercial driveway.
But they know
So
it's for two parcels?
They do know because they are not gonna allow anything closer to the
Well, yeah.
intersection, to that.
Cause you got the on-ramp.
Yeah, so that's what, originally we came with a full access. I mean, come on, we're a convenience store, let's do this. But really, we've had great direction. Our engineers met with Caltrans, and that's been the feedback, is that right in, right out, and enjoy it, you know? So, but it works for us, it really does.
Commissioner Chapman?
Yeah, that was gonna be my biggest question, because I know we've had discussions about that corridor, you know, and there were improvements that were conditioned on the Walmart on the other side of that intersection that still hasn't been done, as far as a turn lane, right turn lane at the Wendy's intersection. I specifically remember that being in the conditions in there, and I know Caltrans is, you know, the governing body on that. So have you already had discussion, but I remember talk in the past about development on this parcel and widening. I thought Caltrans was gonna require a wider left turn, and is it going in from the existing? Are you having to move back the line for a widening on that?
You mean, are we dedicating any,
Yeah.
any further, Mike? I don't think we are. I think Caltrans has reviewed this, and based on their plan set that they have along there, we have our property line adjusted, and like our civil plan set will show that, the reflection of that discussion with them. And of course, they review it.
Yeah, and I had a conversation.
Come a little closer to the speaker, somebody.
There you go.
Yeah, and I had a conversation with the previous, or the owner's engineer who did the lot line adjustment. And there was right-of-way dedication as part of the boundary line adjustment, which created this.
Okay.
So the additional right-of-way has already been dedicated through the, was it Feather River Boulevard and Oroville Dam Road intersection.
So that, you're talking about the southbound Feather River to westbound Orodam.
That's correct, yes. So we've already, so that additional right-of-way has already been dedicated.
It has
Everything.
been?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't see that in the conditions. I know on that Feather River crossing, our prior administration required them an additional 10-foot dedication, you know, but I didn't know if that was addressed on this for the widening of that corridor. I know there's, you know.
Yeah, so the reason why you didn't see it as a condition on this is that it had already been done by another application and
okay.
document, yeah. And then we ended up that's how the property was conveyed to us, with that adjustment already made.
The lot line modification.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, we initially, we didn't even anticipate it. So our original plans, all of a sudden, we got the lot line, it was like, oh, we just got squeezed a little more. So that was why I had the conversation with the previous engineer, who said he worked with the city engineer to make sure they got that dedication done as part of the lot line adjustment.
What is the distance between the west entrance on Feather River and
Here to here.
And I'm sorry, one more time,
the west entrance into your property on Feather River to the corner of Orodam?
oh, that distance right there, so.
I think on one of the maps, there was a 220 some odd foot
It
dimension,
is.
something
It's
like
beyond
that.
220.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that they're gonna widen the east side, is that correct, of Feather River?
Yes, in front of the vacant lot so that cars can bypass any trucks that might be stopped there waiting to turn.
Because the only reason I ask that question is because if you have three trucks wanting to pull in there, and they're not allowed to because traffic is moving southbound on Federal River, and then you have more trucks on Oroville Dam that are gonna turn left on the Federal River, that's why I wanted to know how much area you had, so, 200 feet, you got an 80-foot truck. Right?
The traffic analysis did not indicate any issues with that. However, we are also recommending a condition that under no circumstances will the intersection be impacted by, trucks stacking or blocking that intersection at all. So if that happens, we have recourse to have the Feather River Boulevard restriped or redone in order to eliminate the congestion.
Yeah, and once again, our traffic, the traffic study that was done by someone who had actually done the traffic study to the south on the other adjoining parcel, so they know this area really well. And we actually went out to them because of their knowledge and that of this intersection, this area. So that's why we used what I think is the best, Ken Anderson in that group for the traffic analysis.
No, it does get busy,
Oh, it does.
but,
On that picture that I just passed down, their property goes all the way up between the driveway for Starbucks and about halfway between that and AM/PM, right about where that big tree is across the street. And you can see the cars lined up, so it kind of gives you an idea how far back this way is with the cars that are lined up to turn left.
So, and if I can just mention, just the characteristic usually of commercial trucks, they usually operate off of a little bit of different hours than peak. You'll see where they're out on the road much earlier. They've got to get out on the road. They got to get their times down and then get back off the road. So there may be a little bit of conflict at certain peak times, but for the larger vehicles going in on that backside and then coming down and fueling, it's not going to be like they're queuing up like a regular passenger car that's going to be driving. Where there'll be some conflict, there may be, but I think it'll be minimal because that's the other thing about a commercial vehicle. If they start to find some conflicts going on, they go down the road. They don't want it, and they have a little bit of just a different mindset, what we have found out when we put these in. But I just want you to know that, because if something's hard to get in and out, they're just gonna get out,
Your fuel trucks, they're your own fuel trucks?
They are, our transportation fuel is all, they're our guys, they deliver all across the west. We have a refinery in North Salt Lake, but we actually, we belong to a group, and whether you pipe, you either transport or you pipe in the fuel, so, but it's our guys, it's our operators.
So would your trucks be getting off on Oroville Dam and making a left at Feather and then a left into the
Yes.
site, or would you be getting off on Montgomery, making a right on Feather and then a right?
So we looked at both, and because our fuel, so that's the other thing is our fuel trucks, they avoid delivery on peak hours. They just do, because they need to go and they need to drop their fuel, and they're out there kind of in that forecourt area, if you remember, out in front of the stores where that canopy is. and further towards is where those underground tanks are, storage tanks. So they they don't want to be in the way. They don't want people run, just being around them. So they come at different hours of the day. And I think you would see if the fuel's coming from the north down to the south, they may get off at Montgomery and then come down and make it there. Or if they're headed north, they may just take that other one. The turning template we do that we run for vehicles, it's okay either way. I mean, they can make that turn. They can negotiate those things and not be held up. This isn't as small of a site as maybe some you've seen before, just with usual convenience store.
Commissioner Sears?
That brings up another question for staff. Is Feather River Boulevard and that little stretch of Montgomery paved sufficiently to take the weight of the trucks?
I'll check with our city engineer and confirm that, and I'll have to get back to you next week on that, but.
Commissioner Chapman, did you have another question?
I did. So you have the requested 100-foot on the sign, and then you have the 80-foot I have here as far as the rendering, and then the 100-foot. I would like staff to clarify. So our sign ordinance that we're reviewing
Yes.
tonight actually says 60-foot on the freeway corridor. I would like to clarify, I believe the McDonald's sign and the Feather River Crossing sign, I believe those were 85 feet. Now, that wasn't on here. You have 80 feet. Is 85 foot an option? I mean,
So if you look in our exhibits in the drive-by, when we did the surveying, so let me explain also this. To increase a sign from 80 feet to 100 feet will cost up to $30,000 additional for 20 feet. It is not like we just, you just come in and you go, hey, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna go for 100. We literally looked at and did the driving as we start to drive and pick those points where it's safe to make a decision to turn. That is the height that allows a safe transition from if you're in the left lane headed north and you want to get over to the exit in time. It has to do with visibility and safety. It's not, we're just trying to make something that's viable from pulling interstate traffic and then also the local traffic. That's why you saw the two configurations on that pole. If I go lower, I now am I'm just compromising the ability to, between the foliage that's out there, between the overpass and in some of the other things.
well,
So-
and I understand that part, but I would just say, is 85 an option if we didn't do the 100? Because this board was pretty torn on the first variance. It was pretty torn on the Feather
I
River
understand
at 85 feet. And when we did the Panda Express Starbucks at 85 feet, and that was barely within that corridor.
Yeah.
I mean, you're within the corridor, and we've established 85 feet. I don't know if I'm personally ready to establish 100 foot on it. I mean, and we've already set the precedence at 85 feet, even though our ordinance currently says 60 feet.
Yeah.
That's our ordinance. We've given it a variance. I was here all three of those meetings, a variance to the 85 feet. So I'm not sure I'm personally ready to do 100 feet. And Feather River Crossing was just recently. I mean, if they could have got 100 feet, I think they would have done it. I mean, that discussion about the safety and pulling off, I mean, I know that's been a discussion with every business coming in, even from when Applebee's came in, maybe 20 years ago. That was a discussion, and we held them, I think, at 60 feet. I wasn't here on the commission when we did that, but I know that was a discussion then. So it's going to be an ongoing for every business that wants to come in, and then the next guy coming in is going to want 120 feet.
Sure.
So we're
Well,
Where I've seen, so like this, this isn't the first time that Maverick has come in and said, we may need a taller sign. So a 65-foot sign, that may market to the local street pattern of what you're trying to do. When you start to move to the freeway, and the adjacency, basically right now, the adjacency is like one parcel. We're right there. We are actually trying to draw not only the freeway north-south, but we're also trying to draw the east-west. And I think you saw also where if you're headed east on Oroville Dam Road, the obstruction of the elevation of that overpass, I can't go any lower, or it's blocked for that traffic. And if I do that, I'm not able to have the right spacing of that smaller sign that faces east-west, and then the sign that faces or tries to draw the freeway.
Sure.
And so, 85 is 5 feet taller than 80, and I have a strong suspicion, I know I just declared the Captain Obvious, right? But what that's going to do is probably not allow us to, it's not going to allow us to really be effective on all 4 areas. And I've worked in other places that have the freeway overlay, and they literally look at these kinds of obstructions. Those are included in every time they look at a sign.
Sure.
They're able to look at the physical constraints of that area, and that's what we did.
And honestly, our discussion we've had with every time, ever since we gave the very first variance. And matter of fact, we did a carpool when you kind of got together when McDonald's, they did the same thing with the crane.
Yeah.
And the visibility, and it absolutely is a factor. I totally understand that, but it's something that we're trying. I guess we're trying to. We're real careful before we set a precedence of 100 feet.
Yeah.
I mean, we had this in the ad hoc committee. I mean, this has been an ongoing discussion with this commission. Believe me, we beat it almost to death, and with the sign ordinance. Matter of fact, on the discussion with the agenda, but like I say, my main question is I know you're going for 100, and then you have 80.
And the reason why I included 80 was to show you that 80 is ineffective.
Right.
Like, and 80 was closer to what, because we didn't know it was 85 for McDonald's. We were just looking at, and it's 80, So we took that sign that you guys have approved, we put it on the location of our property, and it's ineffective.
That's my next question. I wanted to clarify with staff is the Feather River Crossing sign 80 feet or 85 feet? And McDonald's and Starbucks.
McDonald's is 85 feet. I have the 2012 approval here
Okay.
from the Planning Commission. And we didn't check the actual height of the others.
Okay.
But we can assume that they too are 85 feet.
That's where it was. We went 85. We set up a precedence with the first one. But that's my. I mean, I honestly,
Remember the week at the ad hoc, when we were going through that,
yeah.
we kind of agreed, okay, we already set this precedence, but we're gonna limit it to a quarter-mile off the freeway.
And that's written in here in the quarter mile distance. We wanted.
Starbucks barely, they just squeaked by.
Yeah, they were. That was a big discussion.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but may I suggest that if we start to get into a debate about the height, there's lots of people here that want to testify, so maybe we'll hear more about the sign.
Yeah.
And
Go from there.
keep with questions at this time.
Nope, I love the rendering. I think, I've been wanting, to me, we've always talked about the Gateway project on Montgomery. Honestly, the true gateway into Oroville is the Oro Dam corridor. I mean, you got the traffic flow, and I've been waiting for this intersection. I love the fact that we got commercial retail and the old Walmart. I think this is gonna, and I'd love to see your second parcel improved with another, I mean, I value every business that wants to come into Oroville, believe me. So, and I think it'd be an asset for sure, so.
Well, thank you, and I do hear your concern about height, and we're honestly just trying to make visibility something. And once again, remember also, we're taking the face of a billboard away to enhance that corner just a little bit more as well. So just, I know there's some good discussion to be had. I'm here to answer and maybe come up afterwards if I could.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion. Why don't we take comments now from the general public? And you have the first
You're gonna open.
person?
I have several speakers here. The first is Michael Kirby, and then Josh Hubbard,
If you'll
and
come
then
up,
Scott
and
Hubbard.
remember you have 3 minutes.
I understand that. Hi, my name is Michael Kirby. I've been a resident of Butte County for over 30 years. My honest opinion about this, we have enough service stations. We have enough convenience stores. Have they checked with other convenience stores to see if it's, okay with them or whatever, Put a shelter or a small apartment complex for the college kids in Chico or something like that. I just feel that we don't need another service station. That's my honest opinion. That's all I got. Thank you.
Josh Hubbard, and then Scott Hubbard, and then Ashley Rishton.
My name is Josh Hubbard, and I own the Arcway MPM across the street from this project, and I've owned it for the last 13 years. And I just want to address my concerns about another station coming into town. And while we already have excess capacity, ever since the tribe started selling gas and at ultra-low prices, it's kind of pulled all the capacity off of Oro Dam Boulevard. And if you have a chance to drive down Oro Dam Boulevard, I'm sure all of you do daily, look at the service stations. I went down at 5:15, which should be the busiest time on Oro Dam Boulevard, and I would say the stations were about 25% full on the pumps. You add an extra 10 pumps in there and another 8 pumps for diesel, the market already has excess capacity, and that's going to hurt the businesses. Commissioner Chapman, you said you value all the businesses that want to come to Oroville. Well, there's a lot of businesses that are already in Oroville that are going to be really hurt by this. Thank you.
Scott Hubbard, and then Ashley Rishton.
For staff, the gas station and convenience store, that's not even a question, right? That's allowed by right, in my understanding. The only thing before the planning commission is the use permit for alcohol and the sign.
That's correct. The gas station and convenience store in a C2 zone does not require a use permit, only the sale of alcohol.
Yeah, so that's allowed by right. I mean, we can't tell a business that you can come in or not.
The mail that this meeting was going to talk about from the city. Use permit UP 20-01 at 350 Oro Dam Boulevard, Oroville, California, for the construction of a new 6,000 square foot Mavericks convenience store and gas station with associated site improvements. I was not informed, and they did not send anything out saying that this is going to be about an ABC license.
Oh, I think that was fine.
The planning commission, because the convenience store is part of the license process, the planning commission can condition this project as much as it feels necessary to protect the public health and safety.
All right.
But we can't tell them they can't put a gas station, no. If they just wanted a fuel station only, it wouldn't have to become before this board.
If they did not want to sell beer and wine, they would not have to come before this board for approval.
I have a question. If they want to sell beer and wine, don't they have to notify the places around them ahead of time? Because I was not notified based on the letter that I received. So can that even be on the calendar today?
I believe it's a mix of two issues. You're mixing an ABC licensing process with a use permit for the property. So no, it is not in the purview of the planning commission. That would be with the Alcohol Beverage Control
And
Board.
then the question that I do, next question is, since I did receive this letter in the mail, one, why was it required to be sent to me? And two, why is it inaccurate?
We are required to hold a public hearing in front of the planning commission for every use permit. And that requires notification in the newspaper and posting and mailing to all of the property owners within 300 feet of the proposed use.
All right,
So you
but it's an inaccurate notice.
will take that up with our council, and if it turns out that he says we need to redo this, we will.
Wow, leave it to the gas station owner to answer all the lawyer to answer all the gas station questions. My name's Scott Hubbard. I own the Arco station with my brother Josh, and he really did steal all my talking points. So I guess I can do some folksy witticisms and tell you about when I was growing up back in Chico, California. It was 1980s, and the best place to hang out was the North Valley Plaza Mall. I was busy. It was beautiful. JCPenney's, Mervyn's, Santa Claus, every Christmas, toy store, everyone hung out there. And then someone said, we're going to put in a Chico Mall. And they said, well, wait a second here. Is Chico big enough to support 2 malls? They said, yeah, that'll draw people in from everywhere. And everyone said, well, you sure? Yeah, it'll be perfect. So they built the Chico Mall, big brand, spanking new, and the North Valley Plaza died. And it stayed dead for at least 20, 25 years. Now, the 800-pound gorilla in this room that my brother touched upon is that the Indian Casino is selling gas 25 cents a gallon below what we pay for. There's absolutely no way we can compete with them on price. The only thing we can compete on is locality. And I promise you, I have absolutely nothing against Mavericks. I've seen the pictures. It looks beautiful. But I guarantee you, if you build a 6,000 square foot convenience store with 18 pumps right there, bracketing everything in the middle, north, south, east, and west, at least 50% of them are going to go out of business. These are mom and pop gas station owners that are just barely scraping by, because they're our friends too, because we sell gas with them, we talk. And they're just, they can't compete with the India Casino, and they're not going to be able to compete with Mavericks either. And so you're going to have a fantastic corridor into Oroville on Oro Dam, and you're going to have a fantastic Indian Casino, and all the gas stations in between are going to be gone. And maybe the 76th station in Valero too, because as I said before, they're shooting for north, south, east, and west. Now, I know that as planning commissioner, it's your job to look at the future, but it's also to look at the community. And sometimes you gotta weigh them both equally. Because what good is having a brand new gas station if you cause 7 other ones to go out of business?
Our next speaker is Colwyn, probably, and then Donald Fredenberg after that.
Give me an opportunity to speak. You know, I own a business here, and it's just really I'm just mind-boggling number of stations that we have already currently here, and to just, like I said, you know, I'm opening a truck stop somewhere else, but you know, there's so many other places to open a truck stop. That place where they want to open the truck stop, the trucks. I mean, my family's in trucking business. Those big, they're tall. I mean, the trucks are just long, and to have those trucks in that, the congestion is going to be crazy. I think it's a safety concern more than anything. I think if they really want to build that, they can build it somewhere else. I mean, on Highway 70. That's what I foresee, but it's just a safety, I think, over there. If you block the traffic and everything else and more cause accidents, safety is the number one thing. Everybody cares about safety. So that's just my point of view, just looking at it and just having, even if you had 2 trucks there, it's going to block the whole area there. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, if they're going to spend all that money and doing all that, build it like they can build it on Highway 70 somewhere, that's fine, I think. But I think building it right there is not a good place. This is what I'd say, but you guys are the boss. Thank you.
Donald Fredenberg, and then Ashtok.
Donald Fredenberg. I've been a Butte County native and born and raised here my entire life. I have seen what happens when these businesses come in. It pulls all of the business from the mom and pop organizations around it, and these businesses go out of business. And it puts people, hardworking people, out of jobs and one paycheck away from being on the street. And if you do that, cool, this company makes a bunch of money, but all these other people suffer as a result. And that's all I have to say on that.
Ashok, and then Alexander Hall.
I'm here to oppose why that big gas station going to be in the city. It's a small city. It's not a big city. We are already hurt by the casino, almost 50% of our business. Now 10 to 15% we are going to lose more business due to ban starting tomorrow on flavor and menthol cigarette. After coming this store in the town, our business is already down. How we pay our bills? Will city take care of us? We are going to bankrupt very soon. How we pay our mortgages? Due to the casino competition, we cannot afford. Now after the another competition, what we do? That's my question. Thank you.
Mr. Chairperson, if I could, I would just again remind everybody, this is permitted by code. I mean, this is not a hearing to determine if or not you can or cannot have a gas station there. This body has no regulatory authority over that. It's permitted by code. So this is a hearing about the height of the sign and the permit to, or the use permit to include alcohol. So our comments that are relevant and germane to this board would be regarding the sign and alcohol.
Alexander Hall, and then Justin Matu.
Well, if it's just about, excuse me, if it's just about alcohol or it's just about a sign, then I don't have much to say except for I don't think we need the sign or the alcohol permit for, I don't think we need a gas station. If you look at Feather River Boulevard heading down Oroville Dam and going to Olive Highway, you reach at least 6 different gas stations. I could walk down the road and I can see an abandoned gas station where the pumps used to be, and I could see that the New Express just got switched over. It's a struggling world out there for everybody, and the mom and pop shops like Lucky's Market or Vasu, they're not going to make it. I mean, honestly, the Maverick store is a great idea, and it does want clean bathrooms, but they have over 100 sites where the mom and pop shops don't have any. Thank you.
Justin Matu, and then John Aliga.
So I don't think that we should have another gas station. I have seen Mavericks before because I did spend some time in Utah, and they are nice, but like everyone keeps saying, there's mom and pop shops around here. And if they go out of business, then they're not able to take care of their family. And that's all I gotta say.
John Aligo.
I've been a resident of Oroville, California for over 25 years. The reason my family chose Oroville was because it was more that hometown feel. We didn't have the big signs. We didn't have the businesses selling alcohol as low as they can go just to get customers. And by permitting a business like this to have the big sign or sell alcohol at that rate, you're gonna not only have a business come in, but you're gonna lose a resident. Because I don't wanna be in a city like this, I wanna be a more hometown feel. Thank you.
Andrea Kelso.
Yeah, let's see, I think that having, the 100-foot sign, I can see where, that he's talking about safety, but then there's also the fact that it's blocking a lot of things too, and overpowering. And, I'm thinking about, what I heard on NPR about California leading the way with the, alternative energies and things and cutting the fossil fuel usage by 50% in the next 5 years. And the fact that he hasn't really even, considered the alternatives with the charging stations and the large trucks coming through, I think that it's kind of a sore spot, because it is, scientists, have put the report out that, it's basically a global, crisis. So having that huge sign that you can see from the freeway supporting alcohol and fossil fuels, drilling and mining and fracking could be a problem to me. They're not with the consensus of the residents of California.
Jesse Ortiz.
I've been a resident for 16 years, and I mean, we already got four gas stations right there, and then like everybody says, all that blocking safety and all that is going to be bad for, for all the traffic and everything. So I mean, I don't think the big sign is going to do anything. It just, I mean, I've been here for 16 years, so that's it. Thank you.
Robert Rudden. David Ippolita. Sorry, I'm trying, guys.
Oroville here, and I don't see why the Oroville needs a big gas station like that. I like Oroville just the way it is, but anyways, that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
7 Sage, and then our last speaker will be Haley Myers.
Hello. My family and I, we own several small businesses in Oroville, and we have liquor licenses. And we have beer and liquor there. One of my major concerns is a few of the laws have changed, which has hurt us dramatically by the new city laws, and allowing another business to come in will hurt us drastically. There's so many businesses already that have beer and wine and liquor in such a small city. So adding more is just gonna be really tough for any of our businesses to survive as is. Another concern I have is everyone knows that area is really busy. So to get on the freeway alone, people compete to rush into that right lane. People compete to make right turns off of Feather River, to duck in there and get on that freeway. It's really discouraging. Even today, I got on the freeway to head to Chico, come right back for this, and it's already very unsafe. So I know we're not talking about that. The gas station itself, that's just to be added. Another thing I wanted to mention is they were stating they wanted to get the billboard removed, put their sign up and remove the clutter. Well, that clutter that they're talking about is other small businesses that are local businesses that have been here that need that attention. They need that marketing. So to state removing signs so theirs can go up and attract attention, I definitely don't agree with. I think Oroville is a beautiful city. I'm so proud to be a part of it. I just think that Oroville is not just Oro Dam and Feather River area. I think if anything is going to happen, expand in different areas of Oroville, make it to where it's not just Oro Dam, and just more to be a little bit compassionate for the small businesses around that are still trying to survive, especially with the casinos here and all the competition. Thank you.
Our last speaker, Haley Myers.
Hello. Let's see. That's better. Okay. So, the casino deserves the money from gas and oil because this is native land. This is native grounds. Okay. Yeah, Taxes on oil pays the bills for the casino. I'm not here to disagree. This is common sense, it's known. I'm not here to disagree. This is not what I came here to talk about today, to get into what is already known, and there's no debate. This is native grounds, this is native land. That's not what I came here to talk about because I do not come from native blood and I have only been in Chico for 3 years. But Chico is my home. I currently am homeless because I have been going through the loops of making a life for myself in this place that I consider I consider this place. I consider this place my home. And I'm here to say that if financial compromise must be made to keep Scott's gas station stable within this town, because a financial compromise must be made to keep Scott's gas station stable. And between Mavericks, Casino Oil, and Scott's gas station, between 3 different entities, 3 different financial businesses, Scott deserves a chance in this financial market. When it comes to being homeless, just last night, I mean, I support his business fully. Just last night in Chico, I'm sleeping on the street, and I've attempted to do, I've attempted to get a job, go to school, go to work. Doesn't mean that there's not so many things that come up where I'm blocked from being able to get financial stability myself right away. I mean, welfare, it takes months and months to get an appointment, and once you get anyways, I'm not going to get into that. So Scott came up to me last night when I was sleeping in my sleeping.
Just say what's in your heart.
Yeah.
You got
of not having welfare as my stability while I'm still working at school and working on it. Scott coming by with his cart of food while I'm shaking cold on the ground. Don't have water.
Oh,
Really nice.
thank you, ma'am. You've exceeded your time.
Mr. Chair, that was the last speaker.
want to be sure that there's no other persons that want to make a comment. Not seeing any, we'll close the public hearing and leave the discussion to the commissioners, between commissioners and possibly staff, if you have, and if you'll touch your request to speak button if you want to speak, then we'll take it in order.
I know you just closed that. After this. I think you mentioned I might be able to, but it's totally your call.
Do we want to hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
I do.
I mean, if it's a response to the discussion.
There it is. So I've listened to our responses, especially with, can we just go to the sign? I was on my phone talking to our sign guy and, who I report to. We're okay with 85, okay? So as you're making your decision, I thought that was relevant. And so I just want to let you know that as you make a decision here tonight, okay? Is that okay?
Yeah.
I thought that was important to maybe pass along, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Well, go ahead.
Sears,
They're ba-
Commissioner Sears is
That's okay. No, because I leave.
I
Basically,
keep forgetting this list down here.
basically, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even see
So
that.
that's all right. That's my fault.
Basically, we're here tonight to have a use permit and vote on that and discuss the sign. So I thought it was just a use permit on alcohol. Is that correct?
That's what it is.
Is that correct, Wes?
You have discretion over the alcohol permit, over the sign, and to impose any conditions on the project that you think are important.
But the project itself is permitted.
Yes.
Okay. Sears?
Thank you. I never heard of Maverick until September. And on the way back from a trip to Montana, we stopped for gas in Winnemucca. You were asking me where it was Winnemucca. And I was absolutely blown away by how nice the place was. And it just left an impression. I'm one of these brand faithful people, and it wasn't any brand I'd ever used, and it didn't matter because the experience was nice. The people were nice, the place was clean, and the building was gorgeous. But I've been listening to what you have all have had to say, and I have some thoughts about that as well. I am hoping that some or all of you have a local client base that will not abandon you. It is our intention, I believe, to expand the ability of more people to be brought into our town that would just keep right on going. This town is growing. It is changing. We can't stop progress. It's going to happen. But something I want to tell all of you that are here. One thing that may hurt you is you may not be able to compete on the basis that Maverick gives health benefits, health, dental, vision, long and short-term disability, tuition reimbursement, 401k, scholarships, gym reimbursement, paid time off, and they will employ 15 to 18 local people. And I think that's a real benefit to our town. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, Commissioner Jenkins?
Randy is first.
Huh?
I believe Randy's next.
I was next.
Oh, Chapman.
Either, yeah.
I've got to get used to this. This is brand new for me.
Okay, so there was a mention about safety, and that is in the traffic study. I mean, that took into account I mean, as far as exiting and entering the property, and I think that is why they were only allowed to make a right turn on the 162 corridor. And the entrance is set back as far as you can on the Feather River side. And I'm presuming that's because stacking from the signal. And it is not up to this body as far as the gas station or not. I mean, I want to make it clear that that's by right. I mean, we can't tell a gas station they can't come in when the zoning is permitted. So we couldn't tell a business, they're not here to rezone the property. It's
No
already
residential.
it's a commercial to zoning. So I think the safety address with the traffic study in the report took that pretty well. Plus, they got to work with Caltrans. And obviously, Caltrans is involved. I think that, to me, has been satisfied. I think I'm okay with almost everything. My big thing is the sign. I'm comfortable with the 85-foot, and we've established that precedence. And that's probably all I have to say about the project, honestly.
Okay, what I'd like to do, we have two issues before us. Oh, Jenkins.
Have another
Steve.
speaker.
I had a question for the applicant, please. Has there been consideration of putting this sign on parcel 2 adjacent to the freeway right away with an easement around it?
So we'd
Since
have-
it has two spots, it could have the spot for that, even though it's off-site.
So what we ended up doing is, that ends up being like a off-premise sign.
Yeah, it's
you know?
off-site, but like Feather
Yeah.
River is, has several businesses off for one sign. Feather River Crossing across the street.
Right.
So, since you have your spot and another spot.
So as soon as that other parcel gets sold, it's no longer in our possession.
But an easement around, a sign easement around there with maybe a utility easement could keep it as yours.
It's
Like
still
they
an
do for
it's-
billboards. Billboards have an easement around them, how they're able to. They don't own the land under the billboard, but they're able to use it.
So probably with your code, I haven't looked at that, but probably with your code, it's specific to billboard and the definition in your code about that. When it's like ours, we're not advertising off premise, we're advertising us. And so then there's a bit of a restriction there, just with the code to allow to do that.
Yeah, just if it was only your name on it, I could see that. But with the other
We're
parcel
gonna
having
share
to
a tenant.
use your driveway to even get into it,
That's right.
It's like it might solve some of the sign being lower but closer to the freeway may.
Yeah, so are you suggesting that the view corridor, we need to go change it again because of the location is
You wouldn't
so
have the
that-
vegetation growing in front of
Yeah.
it because it'd be adjacent to the freeway right away. Just a thought.
Something in the code wouldn't let us do that. And I gotta look again why, because once again, we use Yesco, which is, they do quite a bit of signage all over the place. I'm happy to find that answer and get back to you on that, but.
Would staff know about that? Would that sign be any different than the Feather River Crossing sign, which has multiple tenants?
Maverick has already proposed in its current sign a blank space for the future tenant there, is that correct?
That's correct.
So if they moved it closer to the freeway, then it would be an off-site sign, subject to the regulations of off-site. Yeah.
Would it be similar, though, to the Feather River Crossing sign? Or is the Feather River Crossing sign a different category somehow?
We are pulling up the.
Because I believe Feather River
the
Crossing
permit for that.
is 3 parcels or 4 parcels and all the.
Yeah,
all the
our
tenants are on
sign
the same-
ordinance encourages single signs with multi-tenant signage on them.
So something like that may be possible, or?
Sure. the applicant would have to propose it, yeah.
I'm gonna
Just
find
an
out.
idea.
I'm on it. We'll find out. I would probably, that would have to come back to you guys because of location and that. We're still sitting with an 85-foot sign, but let's take a look at it. I know that there was an interpretation of the code that we felt like wouldn't apply for us, and I get across the street what's going on, so let's find out. And then when another thing was like when we moved closer to the 85-foot that's across the street, then you started to be occluded from visibility with traffic headed north. As you go north and you've got that big, because that's a large monument sign, like our sign doesn't have the structure that that one has. And then as I start to move closer to it in the line of visibility to make that movement headed north, I now start to have that. So I can move it so far to the west, but then I have to stop so that it's just not blocked by what's happening right across the street.
It would be your choice. You just wouldn't have the vegetation issue.
Yeah.
I think it might look less cluttered being closer to the highway too.
I appreciate it, and I'll follow up with that and respond back, okay?
Are you talking about on parcel 2 moving it?
Yeah, adjacent to the freeway.
Further to the
highway
west.
right away.
Moving it toward
Yeah,
the freeway?
yeah.
And that's fine, and like I said, as I move it closer to the freeway, I start to get blocked by the larger sign directly across the street. That's a multi-tenant sign. So I just have to be careful of that, but.
The requirements there is that, in our sign ordinance, is that they not block visibility to each other and that they be at least 75 feet apart, so.
That's got us pretty close to where we're at.
Yeah.
It does, 75 foot. Or you're talking just across the street. The
Yeah.
street width might be
Larger
taken care of
than that.
It's pretty wide there, yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay. We'll look into that. Thank you. Were we good? Do you need any other questions, Ken?
Hey, Commissioner Chapman?
So there was a question on the noticing. Did we take a look at that? Did staff get a chance to look at that?
We'll have to ask the city attorney. I'm going to recommend that we proceed, assuming we've done everything correctly.
I believe the noticing is adequate. The notice is merely that, a notice. The actual documentation is contained within the reports and within the attachments to the agenda. This is a notice to inform the public that there will be a public hearing. The public then can follow up and look and see what are in the items that are surrounding that particular project. This is normal noticing that we always do. It stood for as long as we've been noticing, so you can't possibly include every single thing in a public notice.
Sure. With that said, have you had a chance to entertain whether we got to amend it regarding a variance for the sign in the freeway corridor?
From what I'm hearing, the applicant's going to go back and look at moving the sign potentially. And so that would imply that this commission would not want to approve the sign where it is tonight. And I don't know if that's...
No, what I'm saying is approve it tonight, and if we can make any adjustments to location, then we come back and reapply.
Okay, so if we approve it, I think we're gonna have to, I think we would want to include, just because I'm fairly certain a variance was issued for the other 3 signs.
Yes, they were.
That was, it's been a discussion ever since we did the very first one, and we have not amended the sign code ordinance yet.
Right. There appears to be a potential conflict in our codes. The variance is required for exceptions to non-conforming signs, and it does say a new non-conforming sign needs a variance. The existing sign code says to exceed the allowable height of a freestanding sign, approval of the planning commission shall be required. So the more restrictive or process is to do the variance.
I would think so, as I think currently it says, the code itself for the freeway signs is a maximum height of a freeway orientated sign. Freestanding freeway orientated is 40 feet, increased to a maximum of 60 feet be permitted within basically the quarter-mile corridor. That's our existing ordinance. So I think if we're going to deviate from that, it would be another variance. And so under the conditions, if we're going to do it, I think we need to add an additional condition in there that would say the applicant, I don't know, what is it?
Commissioner Chapman, the code also reads that the need for this increased height shall be demonstrated by the means of a balloon test or other method approved by the zoning administrator. So they did do their, well, instead of a balloon test, their crane test with the plywood. And so that was submitted
Yeah,
and
that
approved.
meets it too.
And also to reiterate what Wes said, the approval of the planning commission shall be required.
Okay, so we can include that in the, I mean, that'd be part of the same resolution.
A variance requires specific findings as well. Findings such as that without the variance, the applicant would not have, or the business would be, let's see, completely obstructed, or there would be another disadvantage provided. But since you've used the variance process for the other signs, we should use it for this. And the variance would require certain findings,
Which
we
they
would have.
demonstrated with already with the height and the study that they've done, I think.
I would suggest if we're going to go with the variance that we come back and approve that at the next meeting so that we can make the official findings and provide the proper notice for a variance, which we have not done here tonight.
So what would you recommend? As far as making a motion to approve what we have on here?
We can approve the use permit for the alcohol.
Okay.
Just
not
but we
the
would
sign.
have to return with the variance as a public hearing.
Okay.
There's two issues. The issue of the alcohol, approval of that. Okay, then the issue of the sign. So we could have approval or denial, approval of the alcohol, allowing the alcohol, and denial of the requested sign with a recommendation come back for a variance. One of the problems I had in going through the new ordinance versus the old one is what you mentioned, Don. There seemed to be a conflict. It seemed implied if a company did the balloon thing to show what height had to be in order to be seen on the freeway, that you wouldn't need a variance.
It's a gray area.
Huh?
There is a bit of a gray area.
Yeah, that's a,
Yeah.
that's a huge gray area.
Right.
And that's why at the DRC, I raised that at the DRC about the need, possible need for a variance.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I guess tonight it's up to the commissioners if they want to go to the more broad interpretation of the ordinance, that if they do a balloon test and it shows that they need an 85-foot sign in order to be seen from the freeway, then I would say that's on the right side of the gray area and to go ahead and do it. If you're uncomfortable with that, then deny it and have them come back with a variance. But that there is a conflict there, and basically the ordinance allows them to do a balloon thing and justify the 85 foot. So it's up to the commissioners, whatever you want to do.
I would suggest that you proceed on the assumption that the planning commission can make the decision in accordance with the existing sign code, subject to a variance should that need to be required in the future.
And that wouldn't create a delay in the project.
Right, it wouldn't
Right.
delay the project.
Yeah,
make a comment on that. Maybe we can do a subject to that way. I speculate, since we did every other one was a variance, and in our discussions, Dawn was there I was here when we were doing the ad hoc committee and it was made clear that if the planning commission deemed 60 foot, we could take it back to 60 foot. We're creating a new ordinance, we're revising it. So in discussion of that, even though we've established a precedence, if the commission so deemed they wanted to keep 60 foot, we could.
Right.
That'd be the part of the new sign ordinance.
Right.
I'm comfortable with the 85 foot. We've established that. I think it's only, fair to the other businesses at the 85 foot level. And I think in the and the ad hoc committee during the discussion of that, it was brought up, 85 feet would have been, probably fair. Yeah.
We already set the precedent.
Yeah, the 85 foot was set. So I don't think it's reasonable to keep the 60 foot.
Yeah.
But I do think it's safe to take the staff's recommendation as far as doing a subject to, and I'm ready for a motion if the commissioners are. So that's my suggestion.
Um,
Oh, wait a minute, how do I do this?
We're gonna discuss the new sign ordinance in the next item on the agenda. And I think we need to kind of hold off the discussion, but if we're gonna make a decision on the current situation, then let's make a decision to require them to come back for a variance for the 85-foot high sign.
Well, he just said that the commission can vote on it.
If the city attorney tells us that the variance will be needed, then we'll come back and get one.
What we're making the decision on is the sale of alcohol, okay? That's what we're making the decision on. So we ought to take a vote and determine what we want to do regarding that. And separate, what we want to do regarding the sign, because I don't see in the application itself a request other than a request for an 85-foot sign, other than that's what they're showing in their presentation and their documents. In other words, there's nothing that says they are requesting not only a approval of a liquor sale event, but they're also requesting certain signs. I don't think that was published that way.
Commissioner Durling, if I could offer, the motion could be regarding the alcohol, and then a condition be regarding the sign. Set a condition that the sign, is allowed to 85 feet unless a variance is required, then the applicant must return.
Yes.
I mean, just do it as a condition on there.
Of the
Flicker?
alcohol sale?
Of the use permit that you're approving, if you approve it.
Okay.
Commissioner Flicker?
Well, because I'm looking at the agenda, and the only way I read it is all we're using is for the minor use permit for alcohol sales. Nowhere on here does it say that we can vote on or.
The project also went through development review, in which the city has the ability to condition the proposed development, new development as well. And so part of this use permit includes the conditions for the entire development as a result of development review and as a result of the Planning Commission's discussions tonight.
So we can put the sign.
Yes,
into that.
you
Okay.
what you would be doing is giving direction to staff to include that as a condition of this project.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready for a motion if the chair is open to a motion.
Yeah, and the motion, as we've discussed,
No, we haven't made a motion yet. I'm ready to move.
based on what
Oh,
we've
yeah.
discussed, yeah.
Right.
Go ahead and try it.
I would like to make a motion to approve minor use permit 2001 with the condition that the sign limit be 85 feet and that it's conditional that we, if they do need a variance, it comes back before the planning commission for the sign. Is it right?
That's correct.
They included the,
Does your motion
alcohol.
also include the recommendations on the staff report adopting the categorical exemption and the findings that are in there?
Correct. And I think that's in the report as it is. The only thing we're changing is we want to limit the sign height to 85 feet. So the alcohol, I agree with everything. And then, like I say, the condition that if a variance is deemed necessary, it comes back before the commission for the sign height variance.
So your motion is to approve an 85-foot high sign subject to approval of a variance.
If I could attempt.
If it's
I-
required.
If it's required.
I believe what the motion is the item as agendized be approved, and a condition and direction given to staff that the
There you go.
sign is approved for 85 feet unless it is determined through legal counsel that a variance is required, then the item would have to return
That's
to the
the
planning
language.
commission.
Correct. That would be my
I'll
language.
That's
second
the-
that.
There we go. That's
Second
what I
vote.
was trying to reach. Okay, we have a motion,
Good job, Bill.
a complicated motion
And you have a second.
and a second. Ready for voting? Anyone
Motion,
want to change their vote? Seeing none?
motion carries.
Approved.
Thank you.
Did the applicant understand what was done? I'm serious, yeah. Did you understand what was approved in motion?
Yeah, I'll see.
Okay, I just,
I'll probably see again, at least for the boundary line, I mean, our tentative map, and if we need to, we'll hustle the variance submitted. I know staff will work with us to let us. Thanks.
that was item 3, or item 2, rather. We've done item 3.
And I don't want you to do this.
Huh?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Actually, I mean, I'm open for discussion on item 3, but I move, I would move we table the sign ordinance for next month's meeting.
we did discuss having the sign ordinance as a separate study session. What we discussed last meeting tonight was to make sure we got all our comments in to staff,
Okay.
okay? And not get into a heavy debate about the sign ordinance itself.
Right.
The debate for the sign ordinance would be on a later study session, devoted to that. Okay,
Could we do this by turning in our notes, or do we need to?
what was that?
Can we do this by turning in our notes, or do we need to each go through our notes?
I'm gonna turn my
verbally?
notes in.
That's up
Yeah.
to the commission.
And then
if
what
they would
I
like to do it
expect
that way.
staff,
That what you have before you is the notes from those previous ad hoc subcommittee workshops.
that's right here. Okay?
Yes.
We've also
What I expect
received,
staff to do when we set up the study session is to come back with a compilation of all the comments made by each commissioner on, okay? And if there's similar comments to one item, include it, A, B, commissioners, so that we get a full picture of what all of us said, or all of our concerns about the draft sign ordinance. Is that confusing enough for you?
it is, thank you. We have received written comments from Commissioner Sears, but none other as of yet, so.
Well, we need to get those in. I'm gonna turn mine in tonight. We need,
asked last month, mine were answered.
huh?
At the meeting, I asked a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
I know
that's
I don't
fine.
have that packet anymore.
Okay.
Discussed everything.
Right, and everything that we discussed is within these changes in the agenda.
Right.
Those-
This is an update. This draft is an update.
It's not an update that's been approved, it's still a draft.
No, but I say it's a draft update of what we've had discussed in the past.
Yes, previously,
That's right.
absolutely.
I understood that.
What's been added and what's been removed.
This is kind of the next stage.
Yes. So
Okay.
what I'm hearing from the commission is that you guys would like to have another workshop pertaining to the signs
I
aside
think-
from tonight.
Yeah, I think we needed to get where we're all together and we can just knuckle down. I'd really like to have a discussion, and I have notes, I'll highlight it, I didn't bring them tonight because I left them in my office before I left, but just, itemize each, go through and just look at them. We never made it all the way through, I don't think, 100%.
No, we did make it all, about
Yeah.
half, two-thirds.
So, we got a little bit more to look at. And-
Okay.
And we can see why it's so needed, because tonight,
Right.
the sign.
Have all
ordinance-
of our commissioners together, we would have to hold a special meeting. That would be a workshop
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
sign.
And that's what I'd
ordinance.
more like, instead of going through and list, and I agree with everybody, all the commissioners hand in their questions to staff, and that way during the workshop. But I think we really just need to set a time where we can sit there and just go review them all with staff. And,
Most of them have been done, so it'd probably go quickly. I mean, if you could, just a few.
It's easy, it's really easy to miss something like we did when we revised the sign ordinance back in when Titleman was doing it, a lot of changes got made and, it created a lot of variances.
Absolutely.
And it'd
We'd
be
like
nice
to
do it
avoid
one
that
time.
going forward.
But it's really easy. It's probably one of our biggest ordinances. And I think it's one of our most important ones. So I think it merits.
One that's most visible.
Yeah, and if we look at the variance that this commission's had to give, it's been virtually 100% on the signage. And the square footage allowances and.
That's correct.
So, I just think it merits like a workshop, and that way all the commissioners, and we're short, let me, also reiterate, we're still short a commissioner too. And it'd be good to have that person included, I think, in the discussion, become familiar with the new ordinance too.
Okay.
But
So when would we like to propose having the special meeting / workshop?
Well, you're gonna have to compile all this.
Right. So that,
At the next planning commission meeting, give us an update
okay,
as to where you are
and then we'll schedule from there.
a time.
Okay. So can we have all the commissioners, aside from Commissioner Steers who already submitted and, you?
Yeah.
Okay. All the comments submitted to the planning department prior to the next meeting, at least a week prior to the next meeting, so that we can have them compiled and then a presentation be,
Sounds good.
ready for the workshop once that's scheduled. And we can update you at the following planning commission meeting. Okay.
Now, do we need a motion on this or
To,
just direction?
what did we have it agendized?
I don't think we need a motion.
Don't need a motion.
Yeah.
Nope, yeah, it's just a recommendation.
These comments can be typed or handwritten as long as we can decipher them.
Yeah. Okay, that's.
Commissioner
item 4.
Durlin, I believe there's a member of the public like to speak.
We have a speaker.
You have one speaker.
On the agenda for that item.
Yes. Hi, good evening, Commissioners. My name is Greg Rediker, and I am with Stott Outdoor Advertising, one of the largest operators of off-premise signs within the city of Oroville. I was hoping to gain a little bit more knowledge about your thoughts regarding the sign ordinance update. However, it was a close second in terms of just hearing the conversation over the sign height issue as it related to that previous project. So I just wanted to make myself available for any questions that you might have as it relates to off-premise advertising. I've made a few little minor notes, but didn't have any substantive comments at this time, simply because I wanted to see what the direction of the commission was with regarding these. So I'm happy to come back at a future meeting and participate in that workshop as needed.
Wonderful.
Correct. We are Stott Outdoor Advertising. We have the billboard that is scheduled to be taken down on the Maverick property. But that's okay. We are pro-business and, we look forward to additional opportunities to continue serving the businesses and various other organizations in the city of Oroville. Yes, we did I think it might have been a bit longer than that, but for the Oroville Gateway sign, the Oroville sign with the
Digital
digital.
billboard.
Signs up or dam and all.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much.
And honestly, that's one of my other comments, is like, if they want more exposure, there's plenty of billboards to advertise.
Let me say one more thing. If the commission is inclined to consider granting additional height for on-premise advertising, I would respectfully ask that the commission also consider at least some sort of a discretionary mechanism for granting additional height for off-premise signs. We have a number of signs along Highway 70 where the visibility is all but gone. And part of that has to do with the existing nature of the signs and some other things. But if we even had an option for raising those signs so they were visible again over the vegetation, then we would be able to better serve the businesses in Oroville.
Thank you.
There should be a approach to handle that, minor use permit.
Right, and we'd be happy to take part in that discussion and determine what it is we are and are not able to do.
Okay.
I have a
Thanks.
question for you.
Yes.
Because I'm not familiar with all the signs, ordinances. The height of the digital one. Do we have any idea how high is that one? So when I drive down Ora Dam, I want to kind of get an idea height-wise.
Are we talking about the digital of Valero, the digital on the west
Valero.
side? Okay. I believe that one is 35 feet. That is what the height is capped at for signs.
And the one that's on the property that's being removed on Maverick?
I
Do you have an
am
idea?
not 100% certain. I believe that's around 35 feet as well.
Is that what our sign thing says, about 35, 40?
It might be 40 feet.
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain. I didn't have that
Something I'll
information with
look
me,
into.
but it's not 50, I can tell you that. But
We
it
can
is.
look into the height of that one.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, you've been hearing from our new Assistant Community Development Director, Dawn Nevers, right behind me. So I'd like to formally introduce her.
Thank you.
And Dawn will be taking point on the sign ordinance update since she was intimately involved with it back in 2015. We are moving forward with the South Lincoln annexation and the South Oroville rezone project. We've set our second public neighborhood meeting on both topics for March 10th. That's Tuesday at 6 p.m. at the Southside Community Center. It'll be a follow-up with some reports on actions that have occurred since that initial meeting, which several of you attended. Secondly, the next meeting in March, in addition to a report from staff on the status of the sign ordinance development, we are expected to have a review of a hotel project, the hotel project we've been discussing in the vacant lot behind Panda Express and Starbucks there. That would be a 100-room hotel.
Did the Maverick buy part of that lot to extend the road? Or is it the lot behind it?
They did not buy part of that.
It's on the other side of the street.
Okay.
It's on the other side of the
It's on the
street.
So it'd be right
east side
next
of Feather
to
River.
Holiday Inn Express.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. And who is that?
That's purported to be a Hampton Inn.
Okay. I'm sorry for the interruption.
Another item on the March agenda will be the tentative parcel map for Maverick, which city engineer is working on, and that can be a conditioned map. So if we have additional conditions, we'll bring those forward to you. And if the variance is required, we'll have the variance on the agenda for the sign. And hopefully, we've been expecting a new sign and facade permit for Miners Alley, which is in process of being renamed the Union, which was apparently the original hotel that was there, and part of the structure still remains. So we may see that. That concludes my report.
I want to thank you for calling me to this position and your help in reading the signs down here. I was prepared to have it come up on here, but it doesn't come up in here, does it?
No, you have to look there.
Yeah, so I have to look up down there. All right. We'll adjourn this meeting. Adjourn it to Thursday, March 26, 2020 at 6 p.m. here at Council Chambers. Thank you so much.
Thanks, staff.